I walked to Safeway to get something for dinner tonight. On the way to Safeway, saw a drug deal go down and got my shopping done. On the way back, had a guy brandishing a pistol.
All right, that's just one example that we heard here at Fox 13, examples of the kind of concerns that neighbors are talking about and business owners as well in Tacoma. And leaders are taking notice. The new police chief, Avery, planning to present his plan to reduce crime to the city council today. But this morning, we are talking to Tacoma Mayor Victoria Woodards about what we can expect. She joins us live now from her office this morning. Mayor Woodards, thanks so much for being with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Liz. Thank you for having me this morning.
It's good to have you. So let's get right into it and talk about, we're expected to hear from Chief Moore on this proposal. What solutions are you expecting to hear from him?
You know, today really is the rollout of what's going to go into the plan and what the plan is going to look like. Today's not actually the presentation of the plan. So what we expect to hear today is we expect to hear what goes into the plan, when they expect to have it done. Chief Moore will be joined with criminologists from San Antonio who are part of this process with us. That's who we've hired to help us do this work. And so they'll be coming to make the presentation of the plan. What I am excited about in this plan, though, is that it will include the community conversations, both from residents and from businesses. So we'll be focused on what happens in each neighborhood, because what we know is that the same approach isn't going to work across the entire city. So we're going to have to really dig into the neighborhoods and the specific places where a lot of these crimes are taking place to make sure that we're addressing the issues for that particular community. So I expect to hear from him a plan that says this is how we're going to do it and this is how we're going to get there.
That is interesting, that different plans for different parts of the communities. Why are you finding that that could be the solution in this case in Tacoma?
Well, because I think too often we just try to do a broad brush stroke saying that we can do this one thing and it'll fix crime everywhere in the community. And each community is different. And so I think it's really important to talk to neighbors. If we're really going to get at the crux of the crime to make sure it doesn't happen again, really talking to neighbors and businesses to see what they're seeing and how it is different in each neighborhood so we can address the issue in each neighborhood to make the entire city safer.
And we just heard, we just heard that soundbite from someone we spoke to, someone brandishing a pistol. A couple minutes ago, we heard from someone who was at one of the meetings that said, I don't want to raise my kids here. We don't go outside. And he was in tears. Obviously, these are very specific stories. Not everyone is saying this. But for those people who are saying what is happening in Tacoma is just too dangerous right now, your chance to speak right to them, what would you say?
What I would directly to those who are no longer feeling safe in this city, I want to be clear. As a person who grew up here, this is probably the most unsafe, and I don't necessarily feel unsafe because it's my community and I feel comfortable everywhere in my community. But what I would say to those who think we're not paying attention, because I get a lot of emails that say you all don't even know crime is happening. We absolutely understand what's happening in the city. As I said in my State of the City just a couple of weeks ago, and what is happening in our city is unacceptable. It's not acceptable for me, it's not acceptable for any of my council members, and it certainly is not acceptable for the people who live here in Tacoma. But what I want to say is we are working on it. We are focused on trying to make Tacoma a safer community. What I love about our new chief is his goal is to make Tacoma the safest community in the world, and I agree we can get there. But let's be clear, we're not waiting for today's plan to do something. We've already been doing things in our community. Number one, we've allocated additional officers to help apprehend some of these violent crimes that are continuing to happen over and over again. You'll notice probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were able to apprehend a couple of people who've been committing robberies in our community, and I can tell you, I've seen the number of robberies go down tremendously just by virtue of good detective work. I would also say that we are conducting high emphasis patrols in areas where we know there is a lot of violence, so that's another thing that we're doing. And let's be clear, it's no secret in every city, and Liz, you're very familiar with this, and that is that the ability to hire police officers is difficult these days. And so Tacoma being down 50 officers, we're trying to recruit. When I say we have budgeted, we did not defund our police. We have budgeted right now 50 positions that are open, that if 50 people showed up at our police department today ready to go to work, we could put them to work. And then the other thing I'll add is that in addition to having those positions fully funded, we also voted a couple months ago, what feels like a couple months ago now, a $25,000 incentive package for lateral transfers. In the state of Washington, unfortunately, it takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months from the time an officer fills out an application to the time they actually can get on the streets. With this $25,000 incentive, it's for lateral moves. So that means that we can get someone on the streets up to 6 months earlier than the regular process. So those are just a few things that we're doing. And then we're actually going out and talking to businesses. We've been out to South Tacoma. Last week we went out to the South End. So really making sure that we're going out and talking to businesses just to let them know that we understand that we're working on it. And I will tell you, I can't go in there and say we're going to fix this tomorrow, because there is no quick and fast answer. But what I can say is we're going to fix it. And I think people are the businesses we've talked to, or I've talked to, have been very understanding of that. They just want to know that something is happening.
Yeah, and that's why we appreciate you being on here this morning with us and addressing these concerns that we've heard directly from people in Tacoma. Mayor Woodards, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Liz. Look forward to coming back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.